Hello, hello, this is Rachel. I have hamsters, and I'm back with another episode, season 2, episode 3 of my podcast. I'm not exactly sure what this one's going to be about yet. I think it depends on how long my updates take. And so it's kind of exciting because you already know what the podcast is about because I'm sure I made a title, but I'm about to find out. Isn't that intriguing? So thank you for listening. If this is your first time listening with me, or if you're a loyal listener, I think it's so interesting as I've watched my kind of analytics of stuff that I do. My podcasts don't get like a lot of views, but I do feel like the people who listen to it seem to be very, very into it. And I really appreciate your comments. It's really sweet when someone said they listen to it before bed or like while they're in the bath, or I don't know, but it's just very sweet. And it does feel like more intimate and sort of community building, as opposed to just like, you know, sometimes I have like videos I made a long time ago that get tons of views for some reason. And even though I put my heart into those videos, or, you know, as much of my heart as I could, because I still am a busy working person, I think there's something more personal about this. And I think this is like exactly why I did the podcast. So I feel really good about that. And thank you guys for your comments. It's so sweet to hear from you. So a few updates this week. Number one, if you do follow me on YouTube, you might be listening to this on another platform, so you might not follow me on YouTube, but I started doing product reviews. Okay, I always did product reviews, but I decided to do these little short form product reviews, and I'm really excited about them, strangely. Like I used to do these really long videos. It took me forever. I sort of ramble, show a bunch of videos of my hamsters using a wheel, or like, you know, this is the night angel, here's like 40 minutes of footage of all of my hamsters using it. And I think there's space for that. And I feel like that was really comprehensive, because the reason I shared videos like that is, I'm sorry, I just have this frog in my throat. The reason I shared videos like that is because it's how I learned. I just watched endless footage of my hamsters. I watched them in real life. I watched them, you know, if I had hamsters who don't come out while I'm awake, I watch them in my Wise Cam. So that is how I evaluate. So I was just sharing the same process I use for myself. But, you know, I started to think, like, when I go to make a purchase, I don't really want to watch a 40-minute video. Like sometimes if it's like, it's in my cart, I just want to know, like, is this a good product? Is this going to work for my hamster? Is there someone else who has this who can give me like a quick, like 1 minute, 2 minutes on like, is this going to be good for me? And so I decided to start doing that. So far I've only done 3 of these sort of like short form videos. I have like 2 Bukastat items, and then the Zoom Med grapevine log. I remember when I first got hamsters, like I was really nervous about natural products for some reason. Like I was afraid that like a wood log would be too pokey, or that like cork might like, I don't know, like I couldn't tell, is it soft enough? Are they going to poke their eyes out or something? I was a very nervous hamster mother. And so hopefully these videos are handy. I don't know. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. I mean, you guys, anyone who's listening to this probably are veteran hamster owners, but I'm curious how you did your vetting for products. It's gotten better for sure, but in the past, you know, I know a lot of us have bought stuff for reptiles, say, and so that's always like a nervous thing for me. I'm like, well, it's for reptiles, it's safe for hamsters, and the same even for regular hamster products. A lot of stuff is not safe, so getting that feedback, I mean, I felt like I spent a lot of time researching before I bought things, and now I feel like I'm pretty good at kind of like deciphering what's safe or not safe. But those reviews were really helpful to me. And I still read a lot of like Amazon reviews or wherever the shopping platform is, I read a lot. So trying to contribute something. So let me know your thoughts. Yeah, so that's that. And then another thing that happened, I bought a ton of stuff from the Happy Hamstery. If you guys don't know about the Happy Hamstery, it is this woman, I think her name's Tabitha. Did I make that up? And she has like a really, really beautiful Instagram feed and YouTube presence. I never really watched her videos until recently. And then I was like, wow, these are pretty good. Yeah, I feel like she's a super impressive person. Like she started breeding hamsters and launched a website that is very it's good to use. She has videos. I mean, I don't know how she knows how to do all this stuff, but I would say it's not easy stuff, and she does it really well. So kudos to her. And I had never bought anything from her before. She started this like Hamster and Me box that looks so adorable, and I'm always tempted, but then I'm like, well, I don't really need a lot of stuff right now. It's kind of like going back and forth. If you're a newish hamster owner, that kind of stuff is great because, when you get a hamster and then you're like, I don't know how to like keep their lives interesting, or I don't know what additional thing I could add to their cage, subscribing to a box is really helpful to sort of like mix it up and give you new items. But I've already done that, and, I've been doing this for a while. Anyway, she had this 4th of July sale, and I ended up buying a lot of stuff. I think there's still a lot of stuff for sale. So I definitely recommend, if you haven't checked out her website or interested in her boxes. I mean, she's doing great work, and she's breeding winter whites, dwarf hamsters. I think she's one of the few that I can think of. I don't know if I'm aware of any other dwarf hamster breeders in the United States. I know some people were thinking about doing robos. But yeah, I mean, and as a huge dwarf hamster fan, I am all for that. And I've heard great things about her hamsters. Everyone says they're really sweet and friendly. And, I think that's what you get when hamsters grow up in a loving, nurturing environment. So let me just tell you what I got. I have the box behind me, so let me grab it. 1 second here. Okay. So first I got this sweatshirt that I was thinking about getting for forever, but then I finally pulled the trigger on it. And I work in fashion, so I have like a ton of clothes and stuff in general. I'm constantly trying to like not buy too many things because I get a lot of samples and, so I held off on buying this sweatshirt even though I really wanted it. And it is so cute. I'm so glad I got it. It's this Easily Distracted by Hamsters sweatshirt, and it comes in this sort of like tan brown. It's very chic. Like, I feel like I wore it out the other day, and I didn't feel like it was like yelling hamsters, but it was sort of like cool hamsters, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's embroidered, and then there's like a little hamster embroidered on the sleeve, which is really cute. And another thing I love about it is the little embroidered hamster. Let me look at it. Yeah. I find one thing that kind of always annoys me is in the hamster world, depictions of hamsters, like in the media when they're animated or whatever, are pretty much always like Syrian hamsters, but they're also like weird looking and they don't really look like Syrians, if you know what I'm talking about. And it annoys me because I'm like, does anyone actually know what a hamster looks like? This is like the most inaccurate depiction. So I really love that this embroidered hamster is like a winter white and like looks like a dwarf hamster. It's really cute and it feels very gratifying. So if you need a hamster sweatshirt, highly recommend. Let's see, other stuff that I got, and don't judge me. Okay, I got a strawberry hide. I got 3 hides. Okay, so I got a strawberry hide, a ladybug hide, and a bunny rabbit hide. They're all those kinds of hides where it's like, they're like sort of wooden pegs holding it together. And sorry, let me adjust the mic here for a second. There we go. Yeah, so they kind of work, they're like multifunctional. They can kind of be like a ladder also, like if you want some way your hamster can climb over them and up them and onto other things, which is really lovely. And they're all really cute. They were on like pretty good sale. And I really like pops of red in my hamster enclosures. I kind of go for like a red, green. Maybe I'm opening up to more color, but I guess I sort of go for like a red, green, naturalistic theme sort of. I don't know. Is that what I'm doing? Something like that. So these are really cute. They're like 2 red hides, and then the bunny one is white, very chic. And then I figured I could use it for next year for Easter photos, maybe. Well, yeah. So that's that. I also got 2 of these sort of, can you hear them? I got 2 of these hay hides. Like one is sort of a nest and one is a tunnel. I actually have never owned these, but I keep thinking like I should get them because they're so lightweight. They're really great for a variety of uses for your hamster. You can kind of put them anywhere. You don't have to worry about them falling on your hamster. Yeah, and they're just great for like cluttering up a hamster cage. So light items like this are really great for clutter because you can put them on top of the bedding and not worry about them falling in. And yeah, they're really cute. Very natural looking. I love it. And then I got these little like seed pod things. I got a 4-pack of them. I'm sorry if this plastic is super loud, but so the 4-pack, it's like these seed pods that have little holes in them. I can't remember what it's called. And then you can put seeds in them and your hamster can try to get them out. I will link to her website and you can check it out. But I'm really excited to try these for them. And then, okay, so the rest of the items I got are all different seed sprays. She had a ton of seed sprays on sale, and I love sorghum. I feel like sorghum is great because it feels like my hamsters have to work a little harder to get it out, and they just look really beautiful. So I got some sorghum, and I also got her her mix. She has a food mix. It has mealworms and lentil seeds and all sorts of things. So really excited to try that out as well. So very exciting things. Can't wait to put that in action. I was like, I got to talk about this on my podcast, then I can put it in hamster cages. But this has to do with my rolling, as I talked about last episode, my rolling efforts to sort of make my hamster cages a little better and really like bring them to the next level. So I'm hopeful that this helps with that. And I actually might buy more of these straw sort of hides because now that I have them, I really love them. And I think this is like one of my new favorite hamster products. Have you guys ever shopped there? I'd love to know what your thoughts are, or if you get the box, if you love it. I don't know if I'm going to buy the box yet, but maybe I'll put it on like my birthday list. Like if someone's like, what should I get you? I'm like, here's a great thing you could get me. Yeah. Okay. So then before I go any further, I did want to do a little financial disclaimer. I think I posted a video of like my office on YouTube, and someone was like, yeah, and it costs $1 million. And I wanted to like sort of address that comment because I know that I had that sort of feeling when I started getting hamsters that like, oh, wow, look at these beautiful cages. It's like $500, like, just to buy a Night Angel cage, it's like, I don't know, $300. And then you buy a few items, you buy bedding, it's like easily $500 off the start. And then, then you want to buy new things. I mean, costs do add up. I will still argue it's still cheaper than other pets, and many of those items will last. So if you plan on having hamsters for a long time, it's a one-time purchase that then you can use for the rest of your time having hamsters. I mean, I think in all of my time having hamsters, I've had like a few wheels break down after many years of use. I recently had a Buca Stout wheel just sort of break in half, but I've had it for many years. It's probably run on for like 5 to 10 miles a night, right? Like, I mean, these things do eventually wear down, but on the whole, I think the return for your money is quite good. So yeah, one thing to say about that. But I will also say I started out on a major budget. Like when I started getting hamsters, the reason I got hamsters is because I wanted a pet and I didn't have a lot of money. And I did have a job and I knew I could at least bring my hamster to the vet and do all that stuff, but I didn't have like the money to buy fancy things. And I remember like the first Christmas after I got hamsters, like first off, everything that I wanted for Christmas, I was like, can someone buy me a multi-chamber hide? But I remember I got money from, some relative, and I used it to buy a flower mix from Oakwood Forest. And that was like my first box from there. So when I started, I was very much on a budget. I had bin cages. I had one 75-gallon tank that I found in an alleyway, and then I cleaned it up and I like recocked it and used it for my dwarf hamster Shirley. I hoarded very interesting cardboard. I was like really good at figuring out what cardboard was great for hamsters. And I'd even like my family members would save things for me. They'd be like, oh, how about this thing? I think you'd like this cardboard. Now they still do that actually. I made a lot of stuff with like dowels and non-toxic hot glue. And I got a lot of stuff secondhand off of Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp. So everything I did was like super budget oriented. And pretty much my major expenses were healthcare. So I had one hamster, Laverne, who had a few surgeries and then was like on antibiotics for this abscess for years of her life. Or years. I mean, at least I guess she only lived like 2.5 years, but for the second half of her life, it felt like years. She was on antibiotics, and they were like special antibiotics. I had to have like mixed, I had to go to this special pharmacy to get them. And so it was like $60 each time I had a new prescription filled. So that was my biggest expense, was Laverne. And otherwise, I mean, I really tried to do things on a budget, and I feel like I gave my hamsters like the best life that I could. And I don't think I did a bad job. I also I would go to, Goodwill and get like Pyrex containers for sand baths and stuff like that. Yeah. And I think they lived good lives. And it wasn't until like maybe last year that I started to kind of invest in nicer things. And I got a Night Angel Vista, then I bought a second one. And at the time I was thinking I would just stick with 2 hamsters. That's why I just bought 2. And I started kind of deciding like, okay, I'm going to invest in more permanent things that will be nicer, things that will last for many years. And so if you see my hamster room now, you're like, oh my God, she has so much stuff. She spent a lot of money. I have spent a lot of money, but I'm also 4 years in. A lot of things have been given to me. As I said, I got a lot of things secondhand. And my financial situation has changed a lot. So when I started hamstering, I was sort of in the midst of kind of trying to move my career in a new direction. I was freelancing and trying to go back to school, and I sort of wasn't sure where I was going. And then COVID happened, and it kind of opened me up to like different worlds, basically, because of COVID and because of like working online. So then my career kind of took a new path, and I actually ended up starting over and becoming an intern for a summer. I was like a 35 or 6-year-old intern with a bunch of 20-year-olds. And then I started a new career. So I went, like, I had a period of time where I was making like very minimum wage and then freelancing like crazy all weekend long to try to like be able to pay the rent. And then now I have a full-time job again, and like am much more stable. And like the best part about my job now is that I feel like it's giving me new experience, new skills that even if I lost this job, I feel like I'm going in a direction that's really healthy and exciting and mentally intriguing, and but just like a lot of opportunity as well. So feeling much more stable and feeling like a little bit more able to like invest in things rather than before, where I was like, don't spend any money ever unless you have to. So I just want to say that like, I don't think that to be a good hamster owner, you have to spend a ton of money. There's so much you can do by being creative, by using a hot glue gun, by thrifting and getting things secondhand. So don't compare yourself to others. I think I sometimes felt that way, and I would be like, man, I really want to have a beautiful cage. And I just decided, you know what, that's something for the future. That's a thing that I can work towards, and it's not going to be tomorrow, and it's not going to be next year, but further down the road, one day, I'll have that ideal cage. And I think I'm slowly, getting there now. I feel really happy with my my office, and it's very exciting to be in this place. The other thing I would say, I did like recently start to get some free stuff from vendors to try out and give my feedback on. So that's also changed the amount of things that I have for my hamsters, and it's really exciting and fun. And I feel like it's so funny because I feel like I'm like a really small fish and a really small fish in kind of a small fish world. Like, I don't even know how big the hamster pond is, but I'm not a big fish in it for sure. But it's still exciting that like I get some of these things. It's not a ton, but it's for me like very exciting. So again, some of that stuff is I'm getting for free. And when I post about it, like I always mention that it was like gifted to me, just FYI, that is legal. Like you have to say that. So if someone posts stuff and they're not saying that they're getting it for free, it's actually against the, Federal Trade Commission. So I will always tell you guys, but I'm getting something for free. But I've never gotten like paid for reviews or anything, but I'm happy just to get some, I'm happy just to get like a free hamster item. I'm like, this is so exciting. So that's another part of it. So just FYI. And I guess the last part of it for me, and financially is I moved from California to the Midwest, and that had a huge impact on my financial situation. Not really like directly, but just cost of living is just wildly easier. That was a lot of the reason I moved. And if you want to move to the Midwest, like come hang out with me. I feel like in the United States, the Midwest gets a lot of flack. People don't really have a lot of respect for it, especially on coastal places. They're like, oh, what would you do there? Why would you go there? But I grew up here, but I think it's a beautiful place to live. I think there's so much to do. I don't know, there's seasons, there's beautiful nature. You can afford a life, which is one thing. People have backyards, so you can hang out in backyards and just hang out by a campfire. I think that's the thing compared to like LA life. There's little expenses that you sort of don't think about. Like when I lived in LA, if you wanted to do something with a friend, well, nobody really had a house. So if you wanted to do something, you like had to go to a bar, you had to go to a place where you could hang out. And then inevitably that's going to cost you like, I don't know, you have a drink or two or you have dinner. It's like $100, plus parking and gas and all that stuff and the time. And what I kind of love about the Midwest is those expenses just sort of go away, because even if you live in an apartment that's not super fancy, there's usually outdoor space that's accessible. Just like in general, the cost of hanging out with friends is so much less. I find that being social doesn't really cost me much money or money at all. Like last weekend, I went to a friend's house. We ordered food. It was not expensive. And then we hung out by their campfire, and that was it. And it was great. And it didn't cost me $100. And it really adds up if every weekend or, midweek you're going out and meeting up with people. It makes a difference. The museums are free here. There's just like a lot of stuff that's just free. And I didn't really, I guess in New York City, like a lot of the museums were free when I lived there. But then I would have to take the train. It's like inevitably end up buying a meal. I would say it's still a pretty expensive place to live. Even if you're taking advantage of free stuff, there's still a lot of expenses that go into like taking advantage of those free things, if that makes sense. It's different. Anyway, if you have thoughts about where you live, I'd love to hear them. I just, sometimes I feel like I get a little like annoyed when people are like, oh, what do you even do in the Midwest? I'm like, what don't you do? Also, I can have a bunch of hamsters and it's awesome. So if you have any feelings about that, leave me a comment. I'm curious where you guys are located and your feelings on that. I know some of you maybe have left cities and gone to kind of more rural places like I have. And I'm curious if you're happy with that decision. I'm super happy. And there's moments I miss it, but on the whole, I think I'm super happy. Yeah. And so that is my financial disclaimer. I've been talking for a while now. I was either going to talk about dealing with tropical rat mites or organizing your hamster stuff. I feel like tropical rat mites are a really big subject, so I'm going to save that to next episode. I am working on a website page for it to help people deal with that. So I'll do that next week. And then today I'm going to talk about organizing your hamster stuff because it's sort of simple. And so here it is. Okay, so hamster organization. So I was going to talk about this subject because I actually recently had a little email exchange with a really awesome woman. It's either Anna or Anna. I don't know exactly how you say it. But hi, if you're listening. I don't know if she listens to the podcast. She was a big website fan person, and she's a super awesome woman who wanted to get a Syrian hamster for her kids and put like a ton of research and spent money buying a really nice cage and setting up an enclosure, and then was emailing me some questions about like, oh, did I like this or what about this? And it was really fun. And I always get it's nice to hear from you guys. Like I see that people visit my website, but it's nice to know that like it's making an impact and helping you. So thank you, Anna or Anna, for reaching out. And she was asking me, she was like, okay, so how do you organize your hamster stuff? Like it's a lot of stuff that isn't in the cage actively. Like what do you do with it all? And I was like, oh, that's actually a good question. And it's something that like I've been slowly working on. I think for a while I used to just like keep it in old hamster bins in my basement or garage or something, but I'm not a super fan of that because I really am scared of bugs and I don't want bugs getting in there. So one thing I did this past year is I did invest in an IKEA, is it Kallax? It's the cube system storage area. A lot of people have these underneath detolfs. So it's that bookshelf kind of thing. And I got the one that is four cubes wide and then like 2 cubes high. And I use it. I absolutely love it. It's like really changed my hamster life. It makes me feel so much more organized. And just like it's easy to keep up with hamster stuff in general, like cleaning and, I don't feel like in the past, maybe I just like shoved everything in a closet and then it was just kind of a mess. This is just like easy to use. So I have this shelving system and the bottom layer, I have like just white little cubes that I can throw stuff in. So like I just have hides and bridges and sand and all that stuff in there. And then the top layer of the cubes, I keep my wheels. So if you're interested in this, I don't have a 14-inch wheel, but I have the size large Night Angel wheel, and that works fine in the cube. I think you'd have to, because I don't have Syrians, I don't have like the extra large size wheel, so I don't know if that one would be a problem. But and maybe if you just measure or if you squish it down, it would be fine. But yeah, what's really great is you can fit like 2 wheels side by side in each of those little cubby holes. So how many wheels? I have like too many. So I have, so you can store 8 wheels that way. I actually have more. Somehow my number of wheels has ballooned a little bit. So I actually have like a third wheel behind the 2 wheels. You actually can get like a third, or sometimes I put an extra item behind those wheels. So you can kind of like, you can get like quite a bit of stuff in there and it's just great, super accessible. So after I take a wheel out of a hamster cage, I wash it, I let it dry, I put in a new one. And then once that one dries, I pop it back in the shelving unit. So it's like a nice system. It looks really cute, easy to organize. And, I love the system. I actually, I was now that I have so many hamsters, I was thinking that maybe I will buy one more of those for my office. I was just debating that today because I'm starting to sort of feel a little crunched. I was either debating like, do I do a decluttering and get rid of some stuff, donate things to rescue, or do I want to hold on to it? I haven't really quite decided my hamster future. I think it kind of depends on my career trajectory, if I'm honest. I'm sorry. My allergies are horrible. I did, by the way, have my allergies tested recently, and I'm not allergic to hamsters. So in case you were worried, I'm not allergic to hamsters. Honestly, I would say if you do think you're allergic, go get your allergies tested. I am very allergic to trees and grass and pollens and also cats and dogs. So kind of interesting that I'm not allergic to hamsters. But I think a lot of my allergies, when I was having allergies around them, it was actually just me being allergic to the orchard grass hay or the aspen. So I just use hemp, I use paper bedding, and I use coconut fiber, and those don't bother me at all. And I also run an air purifier in my office. Anyway, so the Kallax has been working great. I think I might get another. And otherwise I do have some storage bins in my closet full of like food and, I don't know, some other random hamster stuff. But that's why I was thinking, my closet is sort of disorganized. I was like, maybe I just need one more of those and then I'll be set. Especially if I'm going to keep having this many hamsters. It's just so much easier to have all this stuff really accessible. It makes doing upkeep just wildly easier. Okay, so in addition to the Kallax, the other thing that I have, or I guess I have a few things, I did also decide to start using glass jars for hamster food. So I have a combination of things. I went to my local Goodwill, and sorry, I guess I got a meeting coming up. I'm on my lunch break, by the way. I went to my local Goodwill and I purchased some like vintage glass jars, like flower jars, or, they have all those cute ones with little flowers on them and stuff. So I got some of those, like canisters. And I also bought some online, I think secondhand from maybe Poshmark. I just sort of shopped around for some good deals, and it's something I've been like collecting for a while. And then I've also been saving like peanut butter jars, like glass peanut butter jars, glass spaghetti jars. Some of those things have smells, so you have to just like wash them, and then like I think there's probably some way you can use like baking powder and soap and stuff to do like a soak in there. But I often just like let them air out for a while. And I use those jars for dried flowers. It looks very pretty. And then that kind of removes the smell too. Yeah, so I use a combination of those things. It just looks nicer because inevitably I always have them like out, even though I try to keep them away in a little cupboard. Inevitably, there's always like a food jar out. So if it's a cute looking food jar, it's just like cuter. And I like the glass because I can seal it closed. So I think it's pretty bug proof. Another great option if you want to spend a little bit of money, again, like I did the glass jar thing because I started that when I was on a super budget. So that's why I was thrifting jars and saving glass spaghetti jars. That's what you do when you're on a budget. If you had the money, you could buy one of those OXO sets of like, they're sort of like plastic Tupperware and they come in many sizes. That was kind of my dream. And I kept like, oh, maybe someone will buy that for me for my birthday, but it never happened. And then I moved on. Those are really great because they are stackable and they fit really well together. I will say the problem with the glass jar solution is it's not really stackable. I inevitably have like glass jars everywhere. And they could break. I mean, I have carpet in here, so it's less likely that they're going to break. But if you have a hardwood floor or you have kids, something to think about. I'm really happy with my glass jars, and I keep them in this little antique kind of cupboard thing I got years and years ago. But if you don't have that, again, like the calyx situation would be great. Most people don't have 8 wheels that they need to store. So that'd be a great use of the calyx, is to store your food in there. And, I find that it just like looks pretty and just makes it a little easier to keep everything organized. So those are my 2 major organizational systems. And then, I've got some bins in my closet full of excess stuff that I just like don't actively use all the time. Like platforms that maybe for some reason I'm not using. Various items that I'm just like bigger items that I just don't really have a place for. But otherwise, that's kind of it. The challenge for me always is like, if a hamster passes away, there's a lot of stuff that goes in their cage, stuff that does not get thrown away. Like I just throw away the bedding, right? But I keep all the other stuff. And so I do find myself sometimes in this situation where I'm like, all right, I got to commit to a number of hamsters here because either I'm going to have too much stuff to store. I don't know what it's going to be. So, so I know that like last time when I had mites, I went through this big purge. I cleaned all my stuff and then I actually like gave a lot of it away. And slowly I've kind of acquired more in the last year-ish, in addition to, now having more hamsters and just, kind of buying things I liked more. I think the stuff I had was kind of like, it was what I had or what I had gotten for free or whatever. So now I definitely have more stuff that I like. I think it'll be hard to pare down. We'll see. Oh, I don't know. And again, I think I've mentioned this, like one thing I often toy with is if I want to become like an official sanctuary, like quote unquote, and there are benefits to that. If I want to become like a real rescue or sanctuary, of course, I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to have anything but rescue hamsters. I mean, I am a little tempted. There's a part of me that wants a bred hamster, but like a fancy, ethically bred, of course. But I do really value rescuing hamsters, and I guess I kind of want to use up my energy and space to do that. And there are advantages to becoming a real rescue or sanctuary, like tax advantages, if I want to form that as a business. So that is something I've been thinking about. I think the negative parts of it is what I like about my life right now is I pick and choose when I want to intake hamsters. Right now, I'm not intaking anyone new. My life is busy. I don't have time, even though I do have one empty bin cage. I don't feel like I can take on another hamster right now. And I just want to prepare myself for the fact that I'm going to have some elderly hamsters more and more soon. And that's going to be more time consuming. And I'd rather just spend time taking care of them and giving them the care they need. If my life changes, maybe I would take on another hamster. I think the problem with being a rescue or a sanctuary is sometimes it's hard to say no. People reach out to you. And I know I would struggle with that. And I just don't think I have the bandwidth for that right now. Of course, I mean, you don't have to take in a hamster, but I just, I know that's how I would feel. So it is a thing I've been thinking about. I don't know. Anyway, if you have any opinions, let me know your thoughts. So I will say, because I work in fashion, my job is like pretty, what's the word? Unstable. I mean, what job isn't unstable right now? It feels like everything is falling apart, but retail market is really tough. And I've actually never been let go from a job. Somehow I've always gotten lucky in that way, but I've been through a lot of layoffs, and I definitely, every time I always think I'm going to get let go, I always am like, it's going to be me. And so I guess I have in my head is like, okay, if I lost my job, I think I would just freelance, and then I would dedicate more time to hamster stuff and try to just be a sanctuary, there are grants, you can get some state, I don't know if there's federal grants. I'm pretty sure there are some local, like state ones. So I was thinking like, okay, I could look into that and like maybe try to do this in a more official capacity, and then also try to like actually fundraise in a more real way. Like I sort of dabbled in making some t-shirts, but like, I mean, I work in fashion. I know a lot about making stuff. Like I could make some really cute hamster stuff and sell that and fund my rescue. And so I do have some ideas of like what I would want to do and how I'd want to do it. I just think it's a matter of like the time, the energy, the resources. So yeah, maybe one day. It'd be a really cool thing. I think it would be really lovely. I'm just not ready yet, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think. I would love to live in a world where we don't need to have hamster rescues. So that's really my ultimate goal. But I know that's not really a realistic goal. So until we are there, I will keep thinking about this. Anyway, those are all my organizational tips. If you have any of your own, I would love to hear them, how you guys keep your hamster stuff organized. What do you do with it? Do you have a hamster room? One thing I've been pondering on is like incorporating my hamsters just like in the rest of my house, which is sort of scary in some ways. I like that they stay in one room and that like I can monitor the temperature, monitor things, especially if people come over. I have control. I can like shut the door to this room and keep kids out, or if they come over with kids or whatever. And if it was throughout the house, I would have a lot less control over that. So I don't know. This is how I've ended up here, but I might not always be here. Yeah. So let me know what you think. And thank you, as always, for listening. You guys are really great. I feel like I said in the beginning, the listeners I have to this podcast are like, I feel like we're becoming best buds. And I was even considering like, maybe I should have like a hangout sometime, like a monthly hangout. You guys ever want to do that? You just talk about hamsters. I would be so excited. I don't know. Maybe I'm alone. All right. Well, I hope you're having a good hamster week, and check out Hampy Hamstery's sale if you haven't already. And hope to see you in my next episode. Okay. Thanks for listening.